Hi, everybody, and welcome to Soft Science for Sleep, where tonight your immune system gets the late night spotlight it never asked for. You're lying there, maybe under a weighted blanket, maybe tangled in the same top sheet you kicked off 3 times already. But underneath all that human burrito action, something invisible and quietly militant is stirring. Your immune system. And it's doing things you probably don't want to think about while horizontal, like purging cellular corpses, sealing microscopic breaches, holding weird molecular tribunals over things you inhaled at that gas station bathroom. You probably won't survive this without proper sleep hygiene, that is. No pressure. So before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. And hey, post your location and what time it is where you're watching. I'm curious who else is horizontal around the world right now. Now dim the lights, maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum, and let's ease into tonight's journey together. You stare up at the ceiling, but let's zoom out. The mattress beneath you, it's either a regeneration station or a microbial loading dock. What decides the difference isn't thread count or that bougie pillow mist you spritzed. It's what your body does once the lights go out. Immunologists used to think the immune system was sort of always on, like a car engine in idle. But more recent research, frustrating, fragmented, and still deeply debated, suggests it's actually a two-shift operation. In the night crew, they work fast, quiet, and sometimes dirty. It starts in your bloodstream. During deep sleep, your blood vessels constrict a little, changing pressure gradients throughout your body. That simple shift does something oddly profound. It allows the immune system to perform a kind of sweep. Think of it as your internal cleanup crew, gliding through tissues like a Netflix crime drama team searching for bioevidence. Historians still argue whether ancient healers understood this. Some point to Ayurvedic texts referencing the hour of repair after midnight. Others say those interpretations are just modern wishful reading of ancient poetry. Regardless, you've probably felt it, that gross, slightly poisoned sensation after a night of bad sleep. That's not just tiredness, that's immune misfire. But back to your bed. Imagine lying down not just as a passive act of surrendering to sleep, but as issuing an internal command. Begin protocol, nightfall. The lymphatic system, which you may vaguely remember from 10th grade biology as the thing that gets swollen when you're sick, starts subtly rerouting. Your spleen gets involved. Your bone marrow gets chatty, all while you're busy trying to find that one cold spot on the pillow. Meanwhile, the skin of your largest organ, in one of your immune system's first responders, undergoes changes too. Temperature drops slightly, pores relax, and immune cells called Langerhans cells begin rising toward the surface, sniffing for bacterial traces like TSA agents who've had too much coffee. Quirky side note, the ancient Egyptians reportedly used crocodile dung as a sort of medicinal paste overnight. No one is quite sure if it was antibacterial or just terrifying enough to scare off infections by sheer willpower. But the instinct was there. Something happens to the body at night. Something important. You shift slightly in bed. Maybe your leg is thrown over the blanket in that weird instinctive way we all do. What you don't realize is that your body is actively trying to lower your core temperature. This drop isn't just for comfort. It's a biological signal telling your brain that it's time to greenlight certain immune processes that don't function well when you're warm and upright. Here's where it gets uncomfortably real. If you're lying in bed but not sleeping, scrolling doom-watching videos, stress ruminating, your immune system still gets partial signals. Confused ones. It might start initiating cleanup sequences too early or not at all. Worse, your cortisol rhythm, the hormonal tide that determines everything from blood sugar to infection response, could get scrambled. And when cortisol acts out of sync, immune cells start missing their cue, like an orchestra trying to play Beethoven while someone's throwing glitter in the conductor's face. And let's not forget how positional gravity plays in. When you lie flat, certain lymphatic channels drain more effectively. Your brain clears waste faster. We'll get to that in section 3. Even your lungs shift slightly and function redistributing airflow and allowing immune cells to scan a wider respiratory range. Fun fact, tuberculosis was often treated with enforced rest in sanatoriums. Not because rest cured it directly, but because the immune system needed every passive assist it could get. You turn your head, settle deeper into the pillow. Maybe your mouth opens slightly, snoring, breathing like a content walrus. You're defenseless, vulnerable, but paradoxically, your body is at its most coordinated immunologically. Specialized cells known as monocytes begin migrating to inflamed tissues. They're on a schedule, and they prefer the night shift. No distractions, no motion, just you, inert, while they go full detective mode. Some scholars suggest this evolved out of predation patterns. Nighttime was risky, movement meant danger. So evolution may have favored repair processes that happen during stillness to reduce distraction and error. Again, historians still debate whether our ancestors truly slept in biphasic chunks: first sleep, then wakefulness, then second sleep, or whether that's a post-industrial fantasy. Either way, your body evolved assuming one thing: nighttime equals immune time. That heavy feeling in your limbs right now, that's not just tiredness, it's biological bribery. Your body wants you still, quiet, cool, and horizontal, so it can get on with the real work. Just like every office has that one guy who only gets things done after everyone leaves, your immune system kind of needs you out of the way. Now, imagine if we could see it, the night's invisible immune sweep, glowing threads of lymph pulsing under your skin, cells tiptoeing through capillaries like microscopic ninjas, signals flashing between your gut, brain, and spleen in a conversation more ancient than language itself. You don't need to do anything, just rest. Because right now, your body is on it. You're deep into the pillow now, one arm doing something questionable under your head, the other flopped out like a forgotten mannequin. And somewhere between that last yawn and whatever episode you didn't finish, your body flipped a silent biological switch. No sound, no drama, just a molecular nod from your internal clock that said, let's get to work. It usually happens around 11 p.m. Give us your take, depending on your circadian rhythm, your last espresso, and whether you spent 2 hours rage scrolling under blue light. This moment is what some researchers call the lymphatic shift. It's when the body's drainage highways, particularly the lymphatic system, change gears. Think of it as rerouting freeway traffic in a big city, but instead of rerouting Toyotas, we're moving immune cells, waste proteins, rogue bacteria, and the occasional confused lipid. Lymph, by the way, isn't just some vague green fluid you vaguely associate with swollen glands. It's a clearish substance that bathes your tissues, collects metabolic trash, and acts like Uber for your white blood cells. At night, your body turns off some detours and opens express lanes. Why? Because the roads are finally empty. You're not walking, eating, or making awkward small talk at work. Your muscles are still, your digestive system is quietish, and there's no pressing emergency unless you forgot to set your alarm. Historians still argue whether traditional Chinese medicine understood this idea when it mapped out energy meridians. Some say their liver time, or roughly 1 to 3 a.m., corresponds suspiciously well to modern lymphatic drainage peaks. Others argue we're just drawing modern lines over ancient maps that didn't mean quite the same thing. Either way, it's a curious overlap, like two cultures whispering the same idea in different languages across centuries. Now picture this. Lymph vessels, which don't have their own pump like blood vessels do, thanks, heart, rely on muscle motion and gravity to flow. So when you lie flat, pressure equalizes, lymph flow increases, and the real MVPs, the macrophages, dendritic cells, and various immune regulators, get a smoother ride to their destinations. And here's the twist. While your body is draining things away, it's also delivering new packages. Antibodies, cytokines, interleukins. It's like FedEx, but microscopic, silent, and sometimes deadly, especially when it screws up. For instance, certain autoimmune diseases, like lupus, have been linked to nighttime immune miscommunication, too much activation, or the wrong kind. A misdelivered cytokine to a healthy cell can spark inflammation where none is needed. And it's not just physical. Your lymphatic flow has a love-hate relationship with your emotions. Chronic stress can slow lymph flow, causing what some researchers call immune stagnation. You can almost imagine a frazzled internal version of yourself waving at your white blood cells, shouting, "Don't just stand there, move!" Oh, and here's the quirky bit. In the 1820s, doctors believed you could smell disease in the lymph. They had an actual word for it, fetor lymphaticus. Sounds fancy, right? Really just meant this person smells kind of sickly. Which, okay, not wrong. Modern science has shown that immune activation can change your body odor. That sweaty night sick smell, yeah, that's not just your breath. That's cytokines, baby. Back in bed, you shift. Maybe you pull the blanket tighter. Your body responds with even more commitment. Lymph vessels constrict gently and rhythmically. They're lined with smooth muscle and valves like little subway turnstiles. This movement, sometimes called lymphatic pulsing, increases at night, not dramatically, but enough. Enough to sweep immune cells to lymph nodes for training and sorting. Training? Yes. Your lymph nodes are like immune academies. Cells come in, report what they've seen in tissues, get evaluated, and either get promoted into action or told to go home. This happens a lot while you sleep. Some even call it immune court. And like any courtroom, it's far more productive when distractions are minimized. Here's the kicker. This entire process is so energy intensive that your body prioritizes it over digestion, muscle repair, even dreaming in some cases. It's why you can wake up after 8 hours and still feel like you've been through something. Because you have. You were the battleground and the barracks. You hosted a lymphatic surge so coordinated that some scientists think it may be the most important process you never feel. And this is why sleep matters, not just for rest, but for flow. If you interrupt that lymphatic shift by staying up, by getting up, by sleeping irregular hours, you disrupt the choreography. White blood cells don't get where they need to be. Waste builds up, and your body can't clear the metabolic fallout from the day. That's when things get sticky, metaphorically and literally. Sticky proteins like beta amyloid, linked to neurodegenerative diseases, don't drain properly without deep sleep. And it starts here with this early lymphatic rerouting. This isn't woo-woo biohacking. This is your actual plumbing system. Remember that crock dung paste from last section? Fun fact, some historians think ancient healers used it to draw out toxins from lymph-rich areas. Again, no one's volunteering to test that theory now, but the idea that nighttime is the body's prime detox window, that one actually holds up. So you're lying still, half asleep, maybe dreaming already. Meanwhile, a million quiet trucks are hauling bio-waste to disposal centers in your armpits, groin, neck, and spleen. Your lymphatic vessels dilate and contract in waves. Your immune cells whisper messages across interstitial highways. And you just breathe, shallow, slow, letting it all happen. The city of you is sleeping, but your cleanup crews just clocked in. And they don't like to be interrupted. You don't notice it, of course you're not supposed to, but right about now, your brain is giving itself a bath. Not metaphorically, not clean thoughts kind of bath. We're talking literal fluid moving through your head in pulsing waves, washing away the day's grime like a midnight janitor with very high standards. This is the glymphatic system. And yes, it sounds like a made-up Harry Potter term, but it's real, and it only clocks in once you're out cold. Picture your brain as a tightly packed neighborhood. Neurons live wall-to-wall with glial cells, the brain's silent support staff. And during the day, it's a noisy, electric, full-contact street party. Messages zip by, neurotransmitters shoot across synapses. And in all this glorious chaos, debris accumulates. Protein fragments, byproducts, bits of broken down molecules that your neurons leave behind, like coffee cups after a long shift. During the day, there's simply no room to clean. It's like trying to vacuum during a stampede. But once you fall asleep, the magic begins. Your brain cells, mostly the glial ones, actually shrink slightly. Not a lot, but enough to open up pathways between them. Cerebrospinal fluid, CSF, which normally cushions your brain, suddenly becomes mobile. It flows between the cells, flushing through tissues and carrying out waste through a newly discovered network, the glymphatic system. Historians still argue whether sleep was ever considered essential for mental cleanliness in ancient medical theories. Galen, the Roman physician, wrote about humors rising to the head, but whether that was an intuitive grasp of glymphatic flow or just an early misunderstanding of congestion, Well, the jury's still sleeping on that one. Now, remember those sticky proteins we mentioned in the last section? Here's where they get the boot. Beta amyloid and tau 2 of the usual suspects in neurodegenerative diseases like Alzheimer's accumulate less when the glymphatic system is running properly, which is to say, when you are sleeping deeply and regularly. Miss sleep? Those proteins hang around. Invite friends, build forts. One quirky tidbit. Scientists discovered this system by accident. They were studying how CSF moves in mice and noticed glowing fluid moving through the brain, something no one had observed before. The whole field basically said, wait, what is that? And suddenly the glymphatic system had its big debut, like a longtime background actor finally landing a speaking role. It's still a new player in the immune world, so new that many textbooks don't even mention it. But what we do know is this: the glymphatic system and your immune system are in cahoots. When your brain clears out waste, it also flags potentially harmful molecules. It communicates with immune cells via the meningeal lymphatics, yes, those exist too, and helps determine what needs to be attacked, tolerated, or left alone. You twitch slightly in bed. Maybe a leg jerks. That's your body hitting stage 2 of sleep, on its way to the real prize, slow wave sleep. That's when glymphatic flow hits peak performance. Your breathing slows, your muscles go slack, and deep within your skull, fluid is flowing along your arteries, sweeping into brain tissue, then exiting along your veins. It's like a tight and internal rinse cycle that only starts once the rest of you powers down. And like any rinse cycle, it has settings. The pressure, the timing, the temperature, they all matter. This is why a consistent sleep schedule is more important than just racking up hours. Your brain doesn't just need time, it needs rhythm. Here's where it gets eerie. If you disrupt this flow long enough, say chronic insomnia, shift work, or late-night reality show binges, you may set off immune confusion. Cells start reacting to things they shouldn't. Brain inflammation creeps in. Some studies suggest that long-term glymphatic dysfunction might even contribute to the early onset of diseases we still can't cure. You know how sometimes you wake up feeling like your head's been stuffed with cotton? That groggy soup brain feeling? That's glymphatic lag. You didn't get the full rinse. The janitors didn't finish their shift. And now you're walking around with brain clutter. To combat this, your body tries to compensate. One strategy: rebounding into REM sleep later in the night. Another, redirecting immune activity to other areas, which can leave your brain underdefended and your gut overreactive. It's a chain reaction. All because you cut the rinse cycle short. Sleep science nerds like to point out that sea squirts, those weird little filter-feeding ocean blobs, actually eject their own brains when they're done exploring and just want to sit still and digest. The takeaway? Brains are expensive to keep clean. If you're not using it efficiently, biology prefers to flush it or at least give it a break. So while you lie there breathing quietly, remember, your brain is less a fortress and more a fish tank. It needs circulation. It needs care. And tonight it's getting both courtesy of a transparent tide sweeping through the quarters of your cortex. And yes, it does this best when you're sleeping on your side. That's right side sleepers, rejoice. Turns out the lateral position improves CSF flow. No one knows exactly why, but some researchers think it's an evolutionary adaptation to protect the brain from waste buildup. Back sleeping? Still good? Stomach sleeping? You're on your own, champ. You stir a little, halfway dreaming, the blanket wrapped around your shoulders like a slow-motion burrito. You have no idea your brain is scrubbing itself like a spa day with zero consent. You'll never feel it, but tomorrow when you reach for your keys without forgetting where they are, thank the glymphatic crew. They work the night shift. They always do. Quiet, efficient, unseen. You're not snoring yet, but your body is sinking. Heavier, slower. That twitch behind your eyes, that's REM sleep warming up backstage. But before we dive into dreams, we need to talk about the real immune headliners arriving just after midnight. The sweepers, the sorters, the secret assassins who only clock in after dark. Because while your body looks peaceful, something absolutely ruthless is going on inside. It starts with the rise of natural killer cells, NKs, if you want to sound cool and slightly ominous at a dinner party. These are the immune system's silent executioners, tasked with locating cells that are damaged, infected, or just generally acting shady. And guess when they're most active? You guessed it, after midnight. While you drool a little into your pillow, NKs are peering into every cell like suspicious bouncers checking IDs at a very exclusive club. Their judgment is swift. If a cell's surface proteins don't match the "you belong here" pattern, the NKs trigger a quiet, targeted death. No alarms, no mess, just cellular poof. It's called apoptosis, and it's how your body keeps cancer cells, viruses, and internal rebellion in check without you ever knowing it happened. Historians still argue whether ancient Ayurvedic texts anticipated this idea when they recommended Brahma Muhurta, the sacred window between 2 and 4 a.m. for meditation and healing. Some believe it's coincidence. Others see a poetic alignment between ancient ritual and biological fact. Either way, it's funny how many traditions gave that hour to the divine right when your immune system gets its most surgical. But NKs don't work alone. Around the same time, other immune agents get involved. T cells, those hyper-trained soldiers from your thymus, move into a reviewing phase. They're checking signals, sorting memories. Some get promoted into long-term immunity. Others get scrapped. It's not sentimental. It's efficiency. This is the immune audit, and it happens on repeat every night while you're busy dreaming about something weird involving a talking raccoon and your middle school math teacher. Here's a quirky fringe tidbit. Some researchers are investigating whether our dreams reflected immune activity. Like, literally. One theory suggests that surreal or emotionally charged dreams might be the mind's way of flagging internal disruptions. Think of your subconscious as a messy bulletin board with cryptic warnings. A crocodile in a library? That might just be your spleen panicking over a latent virus. Okay, maybe not exactly, but still a little unsettling. You shift in your sheets. Your temperature drops slightly. Did you know your core temp dips at night to optimize immune response? Fevers are artificially raised temps for a reason. But while you're resting, cooling helps signal the shift into deep systemic cleaning. Blood flow redistributes. Certain cytokines, those tiny protein messengers that regulate immune action, start to spike, especially one called interleukin-6, AL6. It's one of those Goldilocks molecules. Too little, and your immune system gets lazy. Too much, and you're inflamed, achy, miserable. But in the middle of the night, IL-6 peaks just enough to rally your immune network without freaking everyone out. It's like a perfectly timed group text that says, "Okay, team, let's check the perimeters." This is also the window when your body checks for infections it might have missed earlier. You were too busy during the day eating, talking, stressing. Now, in the quiet, the immune system can take its time. Viral fragments, recognized and tagged. Bacterial leftovers, dealt with. Rogue proteins, analyzed, maybe stored in immune memory, maybe tossed out like expired milk. And if your body suspects something's off, it remembers. One of the coolest features of your immune system is its archive. Cells literally record molecular encounters and keep a sample on file, like a bouncer keeping mugshots. This memory building happens mostly during sleep, through a process called antigen presentation. Dendritic cells hand off information to lymphocytes saying, "Hey, next time you see this jerk, don't wait, take him out." This is why good sleep improves vaccine response. Your body doesn't just absorb information better when it's rested, it builds a molecular filing cabinet of everything it's seen and learned, all without you lifting a finger. Just you, a blanket, and your immune system holding a very quiet conference call at 2:17 a.m. You might turn over at this point. Maybe you sniffle. But somewhere inside you, thousands of cells are being judged. Some are cleared. Some are told to retire. Others are marked for destruction. You're blissfully unaware, but if you've ever fought off a virus faster than your coworkers, you've probably got this night shift to thank. And this whole internal review, it doesn't just keep you safe from infection. It reduces autoimmune confusion too. Because if your body doesn't do these checks thoroughly, it might start attacking your own tissues by mistake. That's one theory behind autoimmune flare-ups linked to chronic sleep deprivation. Your immune system misfiles a note, and suddenly your joints are public enemy number one. It's wild to think about, really, that while you're lying there slack-jawed and dreaming of a flying bus driven by your high school crush, entire fleets of cellular hitmen are sweeping through your bloodstream. Quiet, unflinching, purposeful. Oh, and fun little sit there. Some researchers are looking at howling wolves and other nocturnal animals for clues to this after-midnight immune behavior. Turns out, predators that hunt at night often have supercharged immune systems that peak after dark. Nature's version of saying, if you're going to get cut, bitten, or poisoned, best to do it when your internal defense squad is at full power. So don't be fooled by the softness of sleep. Under that peaceful surface, your immune system is sharper than ever. It's identifying the traitors, correcting mistakes, preparing your body for tomorrow's exposure to everything from the flu to that guy in accounting who never washes his hands. You roll over again, maybe murmuring something nonsensy into your pillow. And inside you, the executioners nod. Their job is nearly done. The sweep is almost complete. The hour creeps forward, 2:43 a.m. now, and you're deep in the folds of REM sleep, completely out of reach. Muscles paralyzed, eyes darting beneath closed lids, you are adrift in a vivid, unpredictable dreamscape. But inside, the work never stops. While your conscious mind rides the roller coaster of dreams, your immune system shifts gears. It's not just sweeping anymore, it's filing, tagging, reorganizing. Think of it like the graveyard shift at a high-security data center. Cleanup's done, and now it's time to back up the system, run diagnostics, and encrypt the most valuable files. And what are these files? Immunological memories. Tonight, your body might be sealing the record of an allergen you brushed up against at lunch, or permanently coding the shape of a virus you almost got infected with, but didn't. Thanks to dendritic cells, those friendly surveillance drones floating around your tissues, everything you encountered gets presented to T cells for inspection and storage. But here's the kicker. Some of this memory doesn't just live in your blood, it also lodges in your bone marrow, lymph nodes, and even in your skin. Your body's outer edge remembers the war long after the battlefield clears. Historians still argue whether medieval night air theories, those old beliefs that disease was carried by bad smells in the dark, were early, if misguided, nods to this late-night immune priming. They were wrong about the mechanism, but maybe not entirely wrong about timing, because yeah, night is when the body gets its immune homework done. You stir, maybe frown in your sleep. A dream is resolving. Was that an alien in your old apartment? And your brain is doing something remarkable in parallel. It's tagging parts of that dream, weaving them into emotional memory. This is where REM sleep truly earns its paycheck. The dreams feel random, sure, but REM is a sandbox where your mind safely tests fear, desire, confusion, joy, all while your immune system catalogs the associated biochemical signals. And here's where it gets truly weird. Your emotions and your immune response are not separate. That flutter in your gut during a nightmare, that's your vagus nerve reacting and your immune system noting the signal. There's growing research that emotional tone influences how immune memory is formed. In simple terms, a threat felt more intensely may be remembered more aggressively by your body, like giving it a big red stamp. Do not ignore next time. So yes, your anxiety dreams might actually help you survive. Take that, flying tooth loss unprepared for a finals classic. Now let's talk about B cells. These antibody-producing MVPs are quieter than NKs and T cells, but don't mistake that for passivity. After midnight, B cells get to work refining their antibodies. It's called somatic hypermutation, a mouthful, but it means your immune system is speed-tweaking little molecular grappling hooks, making sure they fit tighter and sting harder next time. And guess when that happens best? That's right, when you're deep in REM or slow-wave sleep. In fact, sleep deprivation reduces antibody diversity, which is a fancy way of saying your body gets worse at defending itself. Less sleep, more generic, wobbly antibodies. More sleep, and your body starts crafting specialized, laser-precise weapons. You go from Nerf gun to sniper rifle. A fringe theory making waves lately? That dreams themselves might simulate infections to help refine these immune tools. It's speculative but compelling. Think about it. You imagine stressful or surreal events. Your body reacts with tension, inflammation, hormonal changes. Could the immune system be treating those scenarios like mock drills, like a nightly war game designed to prep for real threats? Again, no one's claiming your dream about dating a talking toaster improves flu resistance, but maybe, just maybe, the feelings inside that dream stir real-world immune readiness. Emotion meets immunity in the dark, and neither of them asks your permission. You shift again in bed, a soft exhale escaping into the hush. Your heart rate slows. Cortisol, your stress hormone, stays low for now. That's important because high cortisol interferes with immune memory formation. If you'd fallen asleep anxious or sleep deprived, that whole process could be stunted. But tonight, you're smooth sailing. Your body's in the pocket. Everything's working. And while we're here, can we talk about memory T cells? These are the elite, specialized soldiers that remember every pathogen they've fought. Some patrol your skin, others nestle in tissues, and a select few take up long-term residence in bone marrow like cranky veterans who've seen too much. They don't just wait to be called, they watch. And their ability to set up these surveillance posts improves when you've had consistent, high-quality sleep. So while you're dreaming about an upside-down grocery store, those T cells are literally plotting surveillance strategy based on yesterday's exposure. They've got molecular blueprints, timestamp notes, even GPS coordinates of the last site of infection. It's not just defense, it's reconnaissance. Here's a quirky side note. In space, astronauts often suffer from weakened immunity due to disrupted sleep cycles and low gravity. One bizarre solution being explored: pulsed red light at night to trick the body into proper sleep phases, allowing immune processes to resume. It's as if your immune system needs its own soundtrack and lighting to perform. Meanwhile, back on Earth, you're blissfully unaware. A whisper of a smile, a twitch of the foot, and inside you, an immune symphony plays on. Every note fine-tuned by cells that never sleep. Tomorrow, you'll walk through a world full of invisible threats: viruses, bacteria, allergens, the break room fridge. But you'll do it with quiet protection crafted, stored, and rehearsed under the moon's watch. Your body is smarter than you know, especially after midnight. It's 3:27 a.m., and somewhere in your brain, a flicker of consciousness teases the surface, but it fades. You're still out cold, floating in that thick REM fog, while deeper systems continue their mysterious choreography. You might think the heavy lifting's done by now, but nope, your body's just getting to the real sorting. It's time to purge the overreactions. Because here's the truth no one wants to hear. Your immune system is dramatic. It overreacts to pollen, dust, shrimp, your aunt's perfume, and sometimes itself. That's why this next phase is so vital. During these hours, your body doesn't just defend, it restrains, it reins itself in. Immunoregulation is the unsung hero of your nighttime biology. See, your immune system runs hot by default. Simamo. It's built for fight mode. But unchecked inflammation is like a fire alarm with no off switch, constant noise, constant stress. So your body developed a kind of built-in regulatory council. And that council meets in the middle of the night, quietly deciding which immune signals to suppress and which to promote. This is when regulatory T cells step into the spotlight. They're peacekeepers, diplomats. They tell aggressive immune responders to chill out, stop misidentifying harmless molecules as threats, and get some rest. It's immunological conflict resolution, and it peaks between 3 and 5 a.m. Historians still argue whether the ancient Greeks' belief in the healing breath of Hypnos, the god of sleep, was meant to symbolize this deeper repair process. The idea of night as not just rest but rebalancing runs through many cultures. Hypnos was depicted as gentle, winged, touching foreheads with a calming hand. Maybe he was just a metaphor for a well-timed cytokine release. Speaking of which, let's talk cytokines. These tiny protein messengers get a lot of press for their inflammatory roles, but some of them actually do the opposite. Anti-inflammatory cytokines like IL-10 rise while you sleep, helping to dampen excessive immune activity. They whisper to your immune army, "Okay, we got the intruder, no need to nuke the entire village." Here's where it gets personal. If your immune system isn't producing enough of these anti-inflammatory signals at night, It doesn't just increase your risk of chronic illness, it messes with your mood, literally. Sleep disruption and poor immunoregulation are linked to depression, anxiety, and even paranoia. Not to get too spooky, but the ghosts in your dreams might just be your immune system failing to resolve internal battles. You turn again, maybe tug your blanket up, maybe not, and inside you, a balance is being restored. Cells flagged earlier in the night are being double-checked. Some of them, previously marked for death, get pardoned. Others are confirmed, tagged, and quietly removed. Now let's swing into a weirder lane: sleep and allergies. Allergies are basically your immune system overreacting to harmless stuff, like cat dander or tree pollen. The more you're exposed, the more your system freaks out unless you sleep well. Why? Because night is when tolerance is built. When you're resting, your immune system has a chance to revisit what it's overreacted to during the day and reconsider. A sort of biological, wait, maybe this wasn't a threat after all. This process is sometimes referred to as peripheral tolerance, and without it, every microscopic invader starts a war. There's even fringe research exploring whether vivid, chaotic dreams might help facilitate this. One theory posits that YRM dreams, which often distort reality, allow the brain to simulate confusing stimuli so the immune system can observe them in a less panicked state. It's like your mind throws a costume party for allergens to see if they're really dangerous, or just wearing too much glitter. And yes, your immune system might be less reactive in the morning because of those dreams. If that seems like a stretch, consider this. People with autoimmune disorders often report the most severe flares after poor sleep. Coincidence? Probably not. Sleep is the only time the regulators get a fair chance to calm the system down. Meanwhile, in the shadowy corners of your body, old immune cells are being cleared out. These are the ones that have served their time, fought their battles, gotten tired. They're removed through a process called efferocytosis, which sounds like a magical forest but is actually cellular garbage disposal. Macrophages find these spent cells, engulf them, and break them down peacefully without triggering more inflammation. It's the closest thing your immune system has to a funeral with grace and respect. A clearing of the field, so tomorrow's battle doesn't trip over yesterday's ghosts. And what happens if you short-circuit this whole process? Chronic inflammation, autoimmunity, fatigue that coffee can't fix. Your body becomes the battlefield and the enemy. Oh, and a weird bonus tidbit for the curious insomniacs. People with consistently disrupted sleep cycles show higher levels of autoantibodies. Those are the rogue proteins that attack your own tissue. So yes, every time you pull an all-nighter or doom scroll at 3 a.m., you're low-key telling your immune system to fire at will. Still think sleep is optional? You twitch again in your sleep, your breath steadies. Inside you, a final wave of regulatory signals is making its sweep. The system is calmer now, more balanced. The fires are out, the troops are filing away, the alarms are silent. It's almost peaceful. Except for one last round of immune checks. Because just before dawn, your body gives everything a once-over, the final edit, one last review to make sure nothing was missed. And after that, you'll start to stir. It's 4:19 a.m., and while the sky outside might still be ink black, your body is whispering secrets of approaching dawn. A gentle cortisol ripple begins to stir, not enough to jolt you awake, just enough to signal that the cleanup crew is finishing its final lap. The sweep is wrapping up, but tonight's maintenance log is far from blank. Deep inside you, at the molecular level, your immune system is making judgment calls. Who stays? Who gets deleted? Which memory cells deserve long-term housing, and which ones are just noise? This is immunoediting in motion, and it's anything but straightforward. You see, your immune system doesn't just fight pathogens. It also surveils your own cells, searching for anything off. This is how it catches early cancers, or at least it tries to. Some of those abnormal cells are subtle, slippery. They wear cloaks, imitate healthy cells, whisper sweet nothings to your T cells until they're ignored. But late at night, under the cloak of deep sleep, your body gets serious about this editing process. The sharpest T cells, especially the cytotoxic ones, roam with a bit more scrutiny. They're not just looking for intruders, They're reviewing your own body's highlight reel from the day and deciding what doesn't belong anymore. Historians still argue whether the old Chinese practice of aligning sleep cycles with meridian clock theory, like avoiding liver stress at certain hours, reflected some primitive understanding of this nighttime scrutiny. While the science is debated, the concept of organ-specific peak hours eerily lines up with modern chronobiology. Now here's the slightly spooky part. If a precancerous cell is caught tonight, it may be quietly eliminated before you ever know it existed. One microscopic betrayal, one incorrect protein on a surface membrane, and boom, a silent execution carried out by a stealthy killer T cell under the influence of sleep. You sleep through your own assassinations. Wild, isn't it? But here's where it gets trickier. Sometimes the immune system misses those cues, either because sleep quality is poor or because inflammation has scrambled the signals, or, get this, because that precancerous cell has figured out how to hide, a tactic known as immune evasion. And most of those tricks, they work best when your sleep is shallow or disrupted. In other words, tumors exploit your exhaustion. Cue the fringe twist. There's emerging research suggesting that tumor cells might even release sleep-disrupting cytokines to weaken your nightly immune defense. Yes, imagine a rogue cluster of cells sabotaging your sleep so they can reproduce in peace. If that's not biological crime drama material, I don't know what is. So the better you sleep, the more ruthless your immune editors can be. And then there's the flip side, the editing of immune cells themselves. That's right, your body doesn't just audit the outside threats, it audits the auditors. Every night during this same phase, faulty or overzealous immune cells get weeded out. Like that one cell that keeps flagging peanut butter as a biohazard? Yeah, it's on thin ice. The body can mark it for deletion during these hours. This internal policing is part of what keeps your immune system from going off the rails. Autoimmune diseases, often tied to a failure of this very process. If rogue T cells are allowed to hang around, tomorrow they might decide your thyroid looks like a threat, or your joints, or your skin. You pull in a slow breath in your sleep, maybe turning toward the cooler side of the pillow. Beneath that tranquil movement, a micro-war has been decided. An overzealous T cell flagged for destruction. A suspicious skin cell left unmarked. Its fate postponed. So many invisible stories pass in the quiet hour before dawn. And then, like clockwork, another layer kicks in: glymphatic flow. This is your brain's unique cleaning system, different from your body's lymphatic flow. During deep sleep, glial cells in the brain shrink, allowing cerebrospinal fluid to rush in and flush out debris, beta amyloid, tau proteins, cellular junk. It's a rinse cycle for your thoughts. Scientists only discovered this system recently. Before that, the brain was thought to be immune isolated. But now, we know that even in your head, there's a connection between sleep, waste clearance, and long-term health. Alzheimer's. Anyone? Yeah, poor glymphatic flow is a risk factor. And when does this rinse cycle go hardest? You guessed it, between 3 and 5 a.m. So while your immune cells are scrubbing and assessing, your brain is literally draining. That's why you sometimes wake up feeling clearer after a solid sleep. It's not just rest, it's literal trash removal. Here's a fun sidebar. In ancient Persian medicine, it was believed that dreams occurring after 4 a.m. were the most truthful. The seer's window, they called it. Totally mystical, but oddly aligned with the modern understanding of when brain waves shift from deeper REM into lighter dream-rich zones, where memory consolidation and emotional processing peak. Back in your bed, you're completely unaware, but soon your body will start moving you toward consciousness, slowly, cautiously. But before that one last scan, your endocrine system starts chiming in now, particularly the HPA axis. It's already whispering instructions for how your body should wake, how much cortisol to release, how fast your heart should ramp up, whether you need extra inflammation control based on yesterday's exposure. If you were exposed to a virus today, your system might queue up extra NK cells to be ready upon waking. If you had a lot of sugar, your immune regulation may shift toward higher vigilance. This is a customized plan shaped by the sweep that's now wrapping up. And all this, invisible, unfelt, but never inactive. You sigh again, maybe briefly surface before drifting deeper once more. just enough to murmur, just enough for your brain to start reaching toward dawn. The sweep is nearly done, and your body, that loyal night custodian, is already planning how to protect you tomorrow, whether you ever think it or not. It's 3 a.m., and your body is just beginning to reorient itself toward the waking world. Not dramatically, not yet. But tiny systems are nudging the gears back into motion. The cleanup crew has swept most of the corridors. Now the morning prep team starts flipping on lights. Well, metaphorically, let's not ruin the cozy mood with actual lights. This is the pivot point, the immune shift from surveillance to readiness. Throughout the night, your system has worked in stealth mode, anti-inflammatory, deeply selective, cool-headed. But now it's time to get a little more alert. Morning is coming, and with it comes the immune system's quiet, calculated pivot toward daytime defense. And here's the first thing that changes. Cortisol. Ah, yes, the stress hormone. But it's not always the villain it's made out to be. Cortisol is a natural part of your circadian rhythm. It rises early, peaks around 8 or 9 a.m. for most people, and gives your body the alertness it needs to get moving. Without this gentle spike, you'd probably lie in bed like a warm pancake for hours. What most people don't know is that cortisol also helps regulate immunity. Its early morning rise reins in overnight inflammation and gets your white blood cells back into circulation. They've been hanging out in lymph nodes all night, attending their secret underground immune TED Talk, and now it's time to report for duty. Historians still argue whether ancient sun-worshipping cultures were indirectly honoring this natural cortisol rhythm. The Egyptians' ritual of greeting the sun with chants and upright posture may not have just been spiritual. It might have helped them align their internal clock with the immune gear-up we're talking about right now. Anyway, back to you. You're still asleep, unless you're one of those cursed early risers, but your immune system is already on the move. Dendritic cells, neutrophils, monocytes, all shifting toward your mucosal surfaces, where invaders are most likely to breach. Your lungs, your gut, your sinuses, they're being reinforced. Fortified. This isn't paranoia, it's strategy. Because morning is when you're about to open your eyes, breathe in air, interact with people, touch questionable surfaces, sip questionable coffee. The immune system knows that, and it's preparing. Like a bouncer pre-gaming for a very chaotic nightclub shift. Here's a quirky twist. For some people, immune activity is so time-dependent that even vaccine responses vary, depending on the time of day the shot is given. A few studies have found stronger immune responses when vaccines are administered in the morning, possibly because your system is already ramped up, ready to train on a target. So your body's timing isn't just clever, it's actionable. You stretch in your sleep, not dramatically, but just enough to signal that the shift is underway. Your blood pressure rises a little. Your breathing becomes more regular. Melatonin, your precious sleep hormone, has been fading out for the past half hour. Cortisol rises, and it signals a change in tone across your immune system, from low and introspective to sharp and anticipatory. But here's the funny part. While your immune system is gearing up to face the day, it's also more sensitive. Studies show that around this hour, your system is hyper-alert to signs of danger. You're more likely to experience an allergic reaction or even an asthma flare in the early morning hours. Why? Possibly because the immune system overshoots a little as it ramps back up. It's like someone cranked the volume a bit too fast after a long, silent movie. Oops, now everything sounds like a threat. There's even an old French superstition about the chilling hour right before dawn when your dreams are most likely to turn dark. Some believe it's when your spirit is closest to leaving the body. In modern terms, it's probably just the body's internal systems reawakening, adjusting the thermostat, shuffling immune cells, nudging your heart rate upward, while you're still in a fog of dreams and confusion. You stir again. Your mind might be somewhere in a dream about work emails or a raccoon with your landlord's voice hard to say. But your immune system? It's back in real time. It's not dreaming, it's scanning. Your gut especially gets a morning memo. The intestinal lining renews itself rapidly, and during early morning hours, that process accelerates. Damaged cells are sloughed off. Friendly microbes are allowed to stay. Potential threats are tagged for inspection. It's like customs at the airport, only your breakfast hasn't even arrived yet. Fringe science sidebar. There's growing interest in how sleep-dependent microbial shifts in the gut might shape immunity. Some researchers speculate that your gut bacteria actually know what time it is, shifting their behavior based on your circadian rhythm. Like tiny bacteria in little pajamas, brushing their teeth and prepping for another day of fermentation. Historians still argue whether the Romans' preference for fasting until midday reflected a biological instinct to allow the immune gut dialogue to complete before adding new fuel to the fire. Again, and not proven, but you've got to admit, skipping breakfast never sounded so strategic. Now, your body is also running predictive diagnostics. Yep, it's doing tomorrow's immune calculations today. Based on what happened yesterday, what you ate, what you touched, how much stress you carried, your system will tune itself. Maybe more inflammation, maybe less. Maybe it flags that random sneeze from 3 p.m. and says, let's keep an eye on that. And all of this without waking you. Not yet. But the light outside is shifting. The birds are starting to test their voices. Somewhere in your house, maybe a fridge hums louder, or a neighbor's car door thunks open. And inside you, your cells are awake before you are. You don't know it yet, but you're about 10 minutes from your first semi-conscious squint at the ceiling. Maybe you'll think about breakfast. Maybe you'll dread that 9 a.m. call. Maybe you'll just roll over and pretend 5 more minutes can fix a whole lifetime of bad posture. But deep inside, your immune system is already back on the clock. Remember the night sweep, the audits, the assassinations, the editing of rogue cells? All that now gets filed away, literally. Immune memory cells get tucked into place, categorized like overachieving librarians preparing the catalog for future invasions. This filing doesn't happen willy-nilly. It follows circadian cues, and morning is when the records go into storage. This is immunological encoding, fancy term for what happens when your body decides that invader from yesterday. Let's remember how to crush that guy. But here's the twist. It's not a perfect system. Your immune memory is like an overworked court stenographer. It captures the gist, sure, but sometimes the details get fuzzy, especially if your sleep was shallow, fragmented, or, let's say, obliterated by scrolling through conspiracy videos at 1:40 a.m. Sleep isn't just a recharge, it's a translator. And when it's interrupted, your immune memories are more like drunken text messages than reliable data logs. Historians still argue whether the Ayurvedic concept of oyas, a kind of inner vitality stored through rest, was an ancient metaphor for immune resilience. Some believe oyas could be depleted by late-night habits and restored through deep sleep and dawn meditation. Sound hokey? Maybe, but modern science nods along, especially when talking about T-cell activation thresholds and recovery through parasympathetic balance. Anyway, you're stirring now. One eye half opens. Your brain is about to come online, but your immune system is already in staff meeting mode. A few white blood cells are doing morning rounds. NK cells, natural killers, but the cuddly kind until they're not, are checking tissues. Monocytes are sliding out of the bloodstream, ready to patrol. And here's something you didn't see coming. Your body has to choose, right now, between alert and aggressive. The morning pivot is delicate. If the immune system overcorrects and goes to aggressive, boom, autoimmune flare. If it undercorrects, you'll walk through your day like a welcome mat for every cold virus on the subway. So your body walks that tightrope using cues from cortisol, melatonin, gut microbes. Embrace yourself, your last 3 nights of sleep, not just last night's. That's right. Your immune system is running a rolling average, just like your phone's battery health is affected over time. Your immune tone is shaped by multiple nights in a row. One night of bad sleep, you might squeak by, but string together a few, that's when inflammation spikes. Your baseline shifts. This is why some people don't get sick until their vacation starts. The body holds it together through sheer adrenaline and then crashes when it finally has space to catch up. Immune fatigue is a slow burn, and sleep is its only antidote. You inhale, maybe that first deeper breath of the day, and your airways wake up too. Morning is a vulnerable time for your lungs. People with asthma often experience their worst symptoms right after waking. That's not random, it's part of the immune pivot. Overnight, your body suppresses certain inflammatory pathways. But in the morning, they flare again, sometimes too hard. Here's a fun fact. Medieval physicians used to believe that morning phlegm was a sign of imbalanced humors. And while they weren't quite right, they did correctly notice that symptoms were time-bound. The fringe idea? Some believe spirits entered through the mouth during dreams and curdled the lungs. Not peer-reviewed, but hey, 10 out of 10 for poetic creepiness. Back to your immune system. As the clock moves past 5:30 a.m., it's already triggering another vital step: immune trafficking. That's the fancy name for how your white blood cells move to where they're most needed. During the day, that means more surface exposure. Think skin, respiratory tract, digestive lining. That's where invaders will try to sneak in. So the cells migrate outward, like a defense perimeter. But get this, some of them also retreat to deeper tissue zones to reset. It's a push-pull choreography that never really stops. Even on your most boring Tuesday, a few thousand immune cells will die and be replaced before you finish your second coffee. And speaking of coffee, caffeine nudges cortisol higher, which nudges inflammation, which can, if the timing's off, make your immune system more reactive than necessary. That one extra shot of espresso might be why your allergies hit harder at 10 a.m. You sit up finally, rub your face, blink against the soft light sneaking through the blinds. You're awake, or mostly awake. But your immune system, it's been up for hours, taking roll call, refreshing battle plans, flagging yesterday's errors, maybe even predicting who's going to sneeze on you in the elevator today. And as you trudge toward the bathroom, you carry a freshly rebalanced internal army with you. You didn't feel them reset, didn't thank them, probably won't even think about them again until flu season. But they'll be there, quiet, relentless, and always, always watching. You step into the light, or maybe you shuffle into it, eyes barely open, with a vague sense that gravity is unfairly strong this morning. The floor is cold, the room is too bright, and the mirror, well, that's just rude. But inside, something magnificent has already happened. Your immune system has pulled off a quiet miracle of timing. While your conscious self was snoring like a sea lion, your body orchestrated a full transition from night-to-day defenses. Now it's primed for real-world chaos. Your commute, your coworkers, your questionable lunch choices. Let's rewind a few seconds. That first hit of light, natural or artificial, wasn't just an assault on your sleepy eyeballs. It was a coded message, straight to your brain's suprachiasmatic nucleus. Say that 3 times fast. That's your internal master clock, nestled deep in the hypothalamus, and it absolutely loves daylight. Or at least it respects it, like a very punctual librarian. And once light hits that clock, boom, melatonin production stops, cortisol rises more sharply, body temperature ticks up, and the immune system gets one final jolt of morning instructions, like tighten the gut barrier, or more monocytes to the sinuses. It's not subtle and it's not negotiable. The clock is king. There's a scholarly debate over how much artificial light messes with this process. Some researchers believe we're constantly tricking our immune systems with screens and LED bulbs, confusing day and night signals. Others argue our bodies can compensate over time. Either way, it's not just your brain that gets jet lag from doom scrolling in bed, it's your T cells too. Let's talk about those T cells. They're the tacticians. Some attack invaders directly, others coordinate the immune response like tiny generals with extremely strong opinions. In the early morning hours, they're in reposition mode, returning to circulation after a night of monitoring lymph nodes and tissues. A fringe idea gaining traction? That early light exposure can actually help train your T cells to patrol more effectively. Not unlike how plants need light to orient themselves, some immune cells might be photoperiod sensitive, indirectly responding to light cues via hormones like melatonin and cortisol. Bizarre, a little, but increasingly plausible. Meanwhile, your skin, the largest immune organ you have, is shifting too. Skin immunity changes based on circadian rhythm. Overnight, it focused on repair, healing micro tears, soothing inflammation, fending off bacteria. By morning, it switched to protection mode. More antimicrobial peptides, tighter cell junctions, better barrier function. That's right, your skin is smarter at 7:30 a.m. than it was at 2:00 a.m., and that's before you put on moisturizer. Historically, there's evidence that early morning routines, face washing, stretching, sunlight exposure, were intuitively linked to immune hygiene. Japanese Shinto practices included morning purifications with cold water. Ancient Greeks often began the day with oil rub-downs and light sunbathing. Historians still argue whether these rituals were about beauty, spirituality, or innate immune timing. Honestly, probably all three. Let's not forget your lungs either. They're part of the morning tune-up. Mucus production increases slightly, airways become more reactive, and cilia, the microscopic hairs that sweep particles out, start beating faster. Why? Because morning means exposure. You're about to walk into the world, breathing in everything from office air to your coworkers' cologne fog. And what about digestion? Your gut isn't just waking up, it's rolling out the red carpet for your first meal. Digestive enzymes, gut motility, and pH levels all sync to the circadian rhythm. And your gut immune cells, yes, they have their own special branch or bracing for what's about to arrive. Funny enough, fringe researchers have explored whether traditional breakfast spices like turmeric, ginger, and cinnamon evolved as part of immune smart eating. You probably just thought they were tasty, but your ancestors may have been seasoning their eggs with subtle immunology hacks. You grab a coffee, maybe a slice of toast, maybe nothing, just vibes and a half-charged phone battery. Meanwhile, your immune system is digesting its own version of breakfast, cytokines, metabolic updates, antigen reviews. If immune cells wore glasses, this is the part where they'd push them up the bridge of their nose and say, let's get to work. But here's where it gets weird. There's a short window in the morning when your immune system is more prone to overreaction. That same readiness that helps fend off pathogens, it can also lead to hypersensitivity, allergies flare. Autoimmune markers can peak. Even stroke risk is slightly elevated in early morning due to inflammation and blood pressure convergence. It's like your body's defense team drank one too many espressos and is now a little twitchy. Still, most of the time, it holds steady, and that's thanks to rhythm. The daily immune cycle is resilient until we break it. Sleep loss, erratic light exposure, shift work, jet lag, all of these can desynchronize immune cells from your central clock. This desync isn't just theory, it shows up in blood tests. Night shift workers often have higher baseline inflammation, reduced vaccine responses, and greater risk for chronic illness. Their immune systems are always a step offbeat, dancing to music no one else hears. Fringe solution? Some scientists are testing circadian reentrainment therapies. That's a sciencey way of saying they're using timed light, food, and sleep to reset the body's clocks, immune system included. It's part of a growing field called chronoimmunology, and it's making waves. But you're just trying to not spill coffee on your shirt. As you head out the door or toward your laptop, your immune system is fully online, not just watching for threats, but remembering, adapting, predicting. That nose itch from yesterday? Logged. That weird food reaction from Tuesday? Analyzed. You may not have asked for this kind of internal surveillance, but it's there, and it's really, really good at its job. You blink against the morning, check your messages, forget most of your dreams, but your body remembers everything. You're officially in the thick of the day now. Fully vertical, semi-coherent, and surrounded by the low-grade chaos that defines modern life: emails, traffic, stray thoughts about lunch. Maybe you've even had your second coffee already. But underneath all of that, your immune system is still doing the most quietly adjusting to your environment, your food, your stress, even your moods. That's right, your feelings have fingerprints, and your immune cells are checking them. See, this is the daytime stretch when your immune system starts scanning more reactively. It's no longer just monitoring what trickled in overnight. Now it's dealing with what's actively being thrown at you. Pathogens in the air, microbes on your hands, the half-hearted salad you're about to eat that's been sitting in a questionable plastic container since yesterday. This is your immune surveillance phase, and it's a real-time game of seek and destroy. Cells like dendritic sentinels are poking around for invaders, neutrophils are speeding to sites of microinjury, and macrophages are eating cellular debris like it's an all-you-can-eat buffet. They're basically the janitors and bouncers of your entire internal ecosystem. But they're also affected by stress, your mood's frenemy. Chronic stress during the day, even the kind that just simmers beneath your awareness, can alter cytokine levels and weaken immune response. Think of cytokines as text messages between immune cells. Under stress, they get spicy, misinterpreted, sent at 3 a.m. Some even ghost each other. You get the idea. Here's where things get weirder. Immune cells have receptors for neurotransmitters. That means your immune system literally listens in on your emotions. When you're anxious, your body knows, and it reacts, sometimes helpfully, sometimes not. Historians still argue whether ancient Stoic philosophers who promoted emotional detachment and calm as the highest virtues were onto something deeper than just mental discipline. Some fringe scholars claim that Stoicism helps stabilize not only the mind but the body's immune tone. A stretch? Maybe. But in an age where we know cortisol can tank your defenses, suddenly Marcus Aurelius sounds like a pretty solid wellness coach. Let's pause for a not-so-fun fact. Most common colds start taking hold during your daytime exposure window, not at night. You may only feel symptoms later, sore throat after dinner, congestion at bedtime, but the real infiltration, it often happens during the bustle of your workday. Your immune system is outnumbered, distracted, sometimes underfueled, and often overstimulated. Speaking of stimulation, yes, your devices count. There's a growing body of research suggesting that constant digital engagement alters immune signaling, not just because of blue light, though that matters, but because of attention fatigue. The brain, when overworked, diverts resources, one of which is immunological bandwidth. Basically, if your frontal lobe is busy putting out email fires, your T cells might be snoozing on the job. Here's something fringe. Some researchers believe the vagus nerve, that long, wandering nerve that links your brain to your body, acts like a thermostat for immune calm. And guess what regulates the vagus? Breathing, posture, social connection, even singing in the shower. There are studies on monks who chant for hours daily showing altered immune markers. Coincidence? Unlikely. You take a break, maybe stretch, maybe scroll, maybe both. But inside, your immune system is recalibrating. Midday is when inflammatory signaling starts to downshift. This is partly to avoid constant internal drama, but also to prepare for the more reparative night phase. Cells that were once fired up in attack mode start softening their responses. You get a kind of metabolic cooldown. It's also when your gut immune network starts checking for food fallout. Did that tuna wrap come with a bonus bacteria? Did your lactose intolerance feel brave? Your gut lining is full of immune checkpoints that are now sorting through what you've eaten. Any red flags? Immune cells tag them, often quietly. Sometimes not so quietly, if you're unlucky and heading for an afternoon of gastrointestinal regret. And let's not forget skin immunity. Your skin gets the most exposure during daylight, sunlight, pollutants, microscopic abrasions. So your skin microbiome has to play defense. Fun fact, you have more bacterial cells living on your skin than you have human skin cells. It's like a cooperative colony that defends its turf. Disturb it too much with harsh soaps or 5-hour sunscreen-free walks, and it stops playing nice. There's a reason traditional cultures had midday rest rituals, siestas, shade hours, meditative stillness. Historians still argue whether those breaks were primarily for mental clarity or immune preservation. But either way, stepping out of direct stress input gives your body a chance to rebalance. Back in modern life, you're probably powering through your afternoon, maybe with a snack, maybe with a third coffee you're pretending is decaf. Either way, your immune system has clocked every bite, every sigh, every moment of stress. It's like a digital assistant that never stops taking notes. Here's the kicker. What happens in this middle stretch of the day shapes how well your night sweep will go. If you flood your body with stress hormones, inflammatory foods, or circadian confusion, you make the night job harder. It's like leaving dishes in the sink for the overnight cleaning crew. Technically doable, but rude. So yes, the daytime matters. A lot. Not just for your productivity or your mood, but for the silent immune choreography that follows. Every hour you're awake, Your immune system is watching, adjusting, responding. Not to punish you, but to keep you safe. And maybe, just maybe, so it can rest easy later tonight when the lights go down and you finally surrender to sleep. By now, you've soldiered through the high-performance hours. You've juggled your schedule, dodged germs, questioned your life choices around lunch, and maybe even hydrated once or twice. As the sun dips low and the shadows stretch across your floor, your body begins shifting again, subtly but unmistakably into a new rhythm. One where everything slows, resets, and prepares for another deep internal sweep. You don't notice it right away. The changes are quiet. Your body temperature starts to dip. Digestion winds down. Reaction times stretch out like a lazy cat. Even your voice might soften. It's your entire system whispering, "Let's wind it down, friend." But the immune system? It's not finished. Not by a long shot. Now begins a complex immune prelude, an anticipatory phase that sets the tone for your upcoming night cycle. You might be winding down externally, binge-watching a true crime doc you'll definitely regret at 2 a.m., but internally there's a logistical symphony warming up backstage. Cortisol, your daytime conductor, finally begins its descent. It's like someone's turning down the overhead lights in your internal theater. This drop gives your immune system the green light to prep for overnight restoration. Remember, high cortisol allows suppression. So once it falls, immune activity can rise again, stealthily. Historians still argue whether this twilight lull is why many religious or cultural traditions emphasize sunset rituals, evening prayers, candle lighting, communal meals. Whether they knew it or not, these traditions align beautifully with the body's immunological pivot from alertness to repair. Meanwhile, melatonin is warming up its entrance. Contrary to popular belief, it doesn't just knock you out. It's also a key immune modulator. Fringe fact: melatonin is found not only in your brain, but also in your bone marrow, lymphocytes, and even your gut lining. That's right, your intestines are basically glowing with tiny biochemical nightlights. As melatonin rises, it tells your immune system, it's almost go time, and the message is received. Memory T cells start circulating more actively, looking for signs of past infections that might be flaring up. B cells increase antibody production, especially in mucosal areas like the throat and nose, common entry points for viruses. Natural killer NK cells get friskier, ramping up their readiness for the stealth missions to come. A quirky tidbit: some researchers suggest that lymphatic fluid flow, that slow-moving stream that carries immune cells through your body, actually speeds up during this pre-sleep window, aided by subtle muscle contractions and deep, relaxed breathing. It's like the postal trucks of your immune system are gassing up before the midnight mail run. And don't forget the microbiome. Those billions of gut residents aren't just sitting there like couch potatoes. As you move into evening, your microbiota starts switching metabolic gears, prepping for nighttime fermentation, nutrient exchange, and you guessed it, immune crosstalk. Fringe researchers have even suggested that some gut bacteria secrete compounds that directly influence immune cell activation in the hours before sleep. Talk about passive-aggressive roommates. You eat dinner. Hopefully not at 10:45 p.m., but hey, no judgment. Your gut still accepts deliveries, though it prefers you clock out earlier. Late meals can delay melatonin release and interfere with the immune handoff that's supposed to happen soon. It's like trying to do deep cleaning while someone's still throwing food wrappers on the floor. Around this time, your skin's barrier function also starts relaxing. It becomes more permeable in the evening, which is why transdermal medications or skin treatments often absorb better at night. The trade-off? You're more vulnerable to environmental irritants, which is why your immune system has a small battalion of cells stationed in your dermis, just waiting for a reason to light the inflammatory beacons. Speaking of inflammation, here's a historical gem. In the pre-antibiotic era, doctors often noted that fevers tend to spike in the evening. This wasn't just dramatic flair, it's tied to your body's natural immune rhythm. The rise in pro-inflammatory cytokines at night is part of a strategic escalation, giving your body the best shot at neutralizing infections during sleep, when resources can be diverted from your busy day life toward healing. And here's the sneaky twist. Your immune system also begins shutting certain doors. The blood-brain barrier, which protects your brain from invaders, become selectively more permeable at night, possibly to allow immune cells in for repairs and surveillance. But it's a double-edged sword. Historians still argue whether the nighttime madness, once blamed on spirits and lunar cycles, was actually the result of inflammatory neurochemistry getting temporarily unfiltered. In modern terms, this could mean that your weird evening mood swings, sudden waves of nostalgia, or late-night existential spirals aren't just emotional, they're biochemical, with immune footprints all over them. Your eyes are heavier now, your movements slower. Maybe you've swapped jeans for sweatpants. Maybe your phone is slipping from your hand. Melatonin is rising like mist over a still lake, gently urging the body towards sleep. And while you think you're powering down, your immune system is powering up for its most important shift yet. You brush your teeth. You dim the lights. Maybe you forget to floss again. No judgment. Inside, your system is aligning. Hormonal fluctuations, enzymatic cues, immune checkpoints flicking over like quiet security systems arming themselves for the night. You're not asleep yet, but your body is already halfway there. And your immune sweep? It's waiting for that final signal. You turn off the last light, maybe leaving a soft glow from a hallway or the distant hum of your fan. The room breathes differently in the dark, softer, thicker. You're finally horizontal, buried under a favorite blanket, cradled in mattress memory foam. What you feel as stillness is actually the opening act. The night sweep begins. You're not conscious of the moment your body lets go, but your immune system is already on the move. Think of it as a clock-in moment. The day crew has handed off the logbook. The night shift puts on its gloves. No caffeine, just circadian coordination, and starts scouring every system for maintenance. First stop, your lymphatic highways. These slow, silent vessels finally get to do their thing without all the chaos of muscular motion or external demands. They ramp up drainage from your tissues, waste products, dead cells, stray proteins. They all start their journey toward filtration stations. Your lymph nodes, those squishy little pits behind your jaw and in your armpits, work overtime now. Not to sound dramatic, but this is your biological night janitor crew sweeping up glass after a party no one remembers throwing. Deep within your brain, the glymphatic system wakes up too. Yes, glymphatic with a G. It's like the brain's secret plumbing network. And it only works efficiently when you're asleep. Cerebrospinal fluid floods into the brain tissue, pushing out metabolic waste, including amyloid beta, which, when it accumulates, is linked to Alzheimer's. This might be the one cleaning system you really want working well. Here's a quirky bit. The process literally causes your brain cells to shrink slightly during deep sleep to make room for the rinse cycle. So yes, your brain gets a little smaller at night to give itself a bath, like a sponge being wrung out. Not the most glamorous image, but undeniably cool. Meanwhile, your immune cell activity surges. Natural killer NK cells, those stealthy assassins, patrol tissues for infected or abnormal cells. They're more aggressive at night. T cells become more responsive. Inflammatory cytokines rise just enough to signal surveillance and increase that's actually helpful, not harmful in this context. It's like your body finally has the bandwidth to go door to door, checking locks and patching weak spots. Historians still argue whether ancient beliefs about spirits being more active at night stemmed from people waking during these internal immune escalations. You feel warm, feverish, disoriented. Maybe you chalked it up to ghosts. In reality, it was just your immune system gearing up for microbial whack-a-mole. Now here's where the real plot twist lands. Your sleep stages, especially slow-wave sleep, that heavy, dreamless phase, are when the immune system kicks into high-resolution mode. Memory T cells sort through the immune equivalent of flashcards, storing encounters from the day. Any pathogen your body didn't fully eliminate gets logged for future response. Think of it like immunological scrapbooking. Fringe researchers argue this might be part of why dreams get weird. Not because you're sorting emotions, but because your immune system is pinging neural structures tied to sensory memories. Imagine a T cell poking your hippocampus like, "Remember this invader from the food court today?" And your brain responds with a dream about a radioactive taco chase through a mall. Not proven, but definitely poetic. Elsewhere, the liver and spleen go into processing mode. These two filter blood, catch old or damaged cells, and coordinate with the bone marrow on whether new immune cells need to be deployed or held back. It's strategic, like stocking the fridge after checking what's gone bad. Meanwhile, your gut, finally not occupied with digestion, becomes an immunological salon. Microbial residents hold a late-night town hall with your gut-associated lymphoid tissue, GALT. Information is exchanged, peace treaties are signed, and occasional skirmishes are handled quietly. The immune system assesses whether to tolerate certain microbes or mount responses in the morning. Oh, and don't forget your skin. While you're cocooned in bed, skin cells regenerate like overachieving interns trying to impress a micromanaging boss. Keratinocytes signal immune cells to come clean up damage from UV exposure or pollution. If you used a strong exfoliant, your skin may throw a tiny protest itchiness, redness, that's inflammation. Part of the process. Your skin is holding its own night shift. There's an eerie beauty to this orchestration. You're deeper now, breathing slow, muscles slack, mouth slightly open in the least flattering, most necessary way. It's here somewhere in the thick velvet of your deepest sleep that your immune system really leans in. We're talking full sweep mode. The command center is live. Immune cells aren't just patrolling now. They're launching interventions, fixing damage, adjusting internal dials based on everything they learned during the day. If your body were a spaceship, this is when maintenance crews open the hull, crawl into vents, and start welding cracks. Quiet, invisible, but crucial. Take your bone marrow, for instance. By day, it's moderately active. By night, it goes into high output mode, producing immune cells at a higher clip. Neutrophils, monocytes, and B-cell precursors are quietly being assembled, quality checked, and released into circulation. It's like an immunological bakery churning out warm defenses for the day ahead. Meanwhile, your T cells are undergoing something wild, synaptic recalibration. They're in communication with helper cells, checking activation thresholds, adjusting sensitivity. Think of it as setting the volume for tomorrow's immune responses. Too low, and invaders slip past. Too high, and you're at risk for autoimmunity. This nighttime reset helps strike the balance. It's delicate, elegant, and utterly unconscious. Historians still argue whether early morning exorcisms, timed to catch the last gasp of evil spirits, were actually aimed at symptoms peaking during this sweep phase. Fevers spike, coughs worsen, inflammation flares up temporarily around 3 a.m., then subsides. Coincidence? Or just humans noticing the rhythms of the sweep long before we had PET scans? And here's a charmingly odd detail. During deep sleep, the body intentionally lowers body temperature, which not only conserves energy but also enhances certain immune functions. Some cytokines, like interleukin-6, are more active when you're slightly cooler. It's part of why sleep in a cool, dark room isn't just comfortable, it's immunologically smart. Now let's zoom in. Your liver, a master multitasker, isn't just processing toxins. It's producing acute phase proteins like C-reactive protein, CRP, and complement component substances that help your immune system identify and destroy threats. Nighttime production increases subtly, especially if you've got a low-grade infection or inflammation brewing. You don't feel it yet, but the liver does. It's checking its lists, flagging troublemakers, prepping for a possible alert by morning. The spleen, that underdog organ everyone forgets exists, is also pulling its weight. It filters blood and coordinates the recycling of red blood cells, but at night its immune role steps forward. It's like the security team that decides who makes it through and who gets bounced. It stores monocytes, those generalist immune cells, and deploys them strategically if tissue repair or defense is needed. But here's the kicker. Even your microbiome, yes, those trillions of gut dwellers, adjust its rhythm to match yours. At night, certain bacteria thrive and secrete metabolites that trigger anti-inflammatory signals, encouraging immune tolerance. Think of them as little diplomats smoothing relations with your immune troops. But eat too late, stress too much, or ignore circadian cues and they turn grumpy. Dysbiosis follows. Peace treaties break. Civil war in your intestines? Not ideal. Fringe researchers have even speculated that gut flora may influence dreams by secreting neuroactive compounds that interact with the brain via the vagus nerve. Imagine dreaming in part because your bacteria have feelings. It's the plot twist Pixar never saw coming. Now let's talk repairs. Minor tissue damage, microscopic tears in muscles, tiny abrasions, oxidative stress from UV or pollutants gets patched at night. Immune cells guide fibroblasts and stem cells to rebuild and reinforce these sites. You might wake up sore if your body worked especially hard overnight, but that's just your internal scaffolding getting a refresh. And what about low-level invaders? That stubborn virus you didn't even know you picked up at the grocery store? Your immune system has likely engaged with it already during sleep. Sometimes this engagement is silent and effective. Other times you'll wake up with a sore throat or a foggy head because battle commenced while you were dreaming about naked office meetings or elevators that go sideways. Remember when we talked about melatonin earlier? It's peaking now, not just sedating your brain, but actively regulating immune responses, balancing pro and anti-inflammatory reactions to prevent overcorrection. Melatonin is like the wise manager in the war room, calm, clear-eyed, and anti-drama. But make no mistake, this whole sweep has a cost. That's why sleep deprivation wrecks your immunity so fast. One bad night can drop NK cell activity by over 70%. You might not notice right away, but you've given viruses a free pass, lowered your healing rate, and ticked off your T cells. It's why the old idea of catching up on sleep doesn't quite work. Some immune functions are so time-sensitive, they miss their window if sleep doesn't happen during that exact stretch. Just like a cleaning crew that can't mop a store while customers are inside, the sweep requires you to stay down, stay out, and stay still. So as you lie there, somewhere between sleep cycle 2 and 3, dreaming who knows what, your immune system is deep in its groove. It's not just protecting you from illness, it's protecting you from yesterday. From the tiny damage you accumulated just by existing in a body in a chaotic world. And it's laying groundwork for tomorrow. So don't worry. While your mind floats, your body cleans house. You're drifting now, floating on that midnight ocean where time has no edges. The room holds its breath, and your body follows. This is the final descent, the last curve of the night's roller coaster. And quietly, almost invisibly, your immune system is wrapping up the sweep. Not everything's done, of course. Maintenance never really stops. But this final phase, it's more like the cleanup after the cleanup. The lights don't come on just yet, but the immune system knows the show is ending soon. As your sleep cycles shift from the deep, heavy delta waves of slow-wave sleep into the rapid flickers of REM, your internal tempo changes. Dreams start to flicker in the wild, nonlinear kind that can feel like skipping through TV channels from the next dimension. Emotion centers in your brain light up. Sensory associations fire in strange combinations. Meanwhile, the immune system, ever adaptable, switches tactics. REM sleep is less about flushing and more about processing. Not just memories and feelings, but immune signals too. Helper T cells and regulatory T cells start filing reports, building tolerance, suppressing unnecessary inflammation. It's almost bureaucratic, a tidy stack of immunological memos for the day ahead. Here's a strange little fact. Your body often rehearses immune responses during REM. Researchers have observed that just like the brain can simulate movement while dreaming, it may also simulate pathogen encounters, reinforcing antibody learning. Like role-playing flu fights in your sleep. Your immune system is literally doing drills while you're dreaming about showing up to high school in your underwear. And here's something quirkier still. Some animals, like octopuses, show changes in skin color during REM sleep, possibly tied to internal immune shifts. Imagine if your immune status lit up on your skin like a sleep-time mood ring. Humans are lucky we just drool. Now let's return to your gut for one last midnight meeting. The gut microbiome is winding down its nocturnal fermentation spree. Many bacteria have completed their nightly cycle of breaking down fiber, producing short-chain fatty acids, and signaling to immune cells in your intestinal walls. This in turn tells the immune system, all clear or get ready. Pretty trouble's brewing. Historians still argue whether pre-dawn fasting rituals, common across cultures, were inspired by these internal rhythms. The body isn't meant to digest heavily just before waking. It's meant to assess and respond. Eating late at night interrupts the sweep, diverting immune energy toward digestion instead of damage control. Your liver is in its last phase of nighttime activity. Glycogen stores are balanced. Toxin breakdown wraps up. Cytokine levels drop back toward baseline. A few inflammation markers might linger residue from the night's work. But overall, it's quieting. The inner noise dims. At the cellular level, your immune system is doing post-op rounds. B cells double-check antibody matches. NK cells slow their patrols. Memory T cells update their internal threat maps. Anything foreign detected overnight is flagged. Anything healed is noted. Fringe theorists suggest there may even be a subconscious awareness of this immune sweep, some subtle sense of whether you're waking stronger or weaker, like waking up with that eerie feeling that something either fixed itself or didn't. It's not mystical, just perceptive biology. And then finally, melatonin begins to fall. Not a crash, but a tapering. As the first hints of dawn build behind your eyelids, cortisol starts to tick upward again. The repair crew begins clocking out. The immune sweep slows. It doesn't stop, but the pace becomes more reactive, less proactive. It's why people often wake just before fevers break or symptoms first flare. The immune system knows the night phase is ending. It's done what it can. Now it waits to see what the day brings. Your lungs expand a little deeper. A leg twitches. You stir. Just on the edge of consciousness now, but your immune system? It's already thinking ahead. Rebalancing. Strategizing. Building tolerance. Remember, it's not just fighting invaders. It's deciding who you are. Every night, your immune system reinforces that definition. Every sweep is a silent oath. I know what's me, and I'll defend it. And now, the body prepares to transition again. From cleansing to exposure. From repair to readiness. You are about to return to the world. And your immune sweep? It just gave you a fighting chance. And now, with everything quieting once more, from the tiniest lymphocyte to the slow whisper of your lungs, you're ready to slip deeper or gently resurface, depending on where this finds you. The immune sweep, that invisible night patrol, has made its pass. Not with alarms or drama, but with a softness that feels like velvet gloves smoothing wrinkles out of silk. Your organs settle. Your bloodstream moves like a lazy river. Tiny repairs, decisions, and whispers echo through every tissue. And it all happens without your notice until now. It's comforting, isn't it? To know that while you rest, something ancient and intricate carries on without needing your permission. You're being cared for from the inside. No status updates, no apps, just a living memory of millions of years keeping you safe. So stay right here. No need to move. No need to think. Let that soft fan hum a little longer. Let the shadows stay gentle. Let the silence stretch. You've done your part. You made it through the day, and your body has done its part too, sweeping, sorting, saving you in ways you'll never fully see. And now it's okay to float, to drift without edges, to let your breath slow just a little more. Sleep is here, and so is your defense.